What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all doing well. This is Motion Hoops, and in my last video I did my top 8 predictions for the Eastern Conference. So now it's time to do the same for the Western Conference. Same as the last video, I'm not counting in any of the play-in stuff, so just remember that. Even with how much better the East got, the West is still the better conference because of all the stars and how good these teams are. The West has been the best for years, and that still hasn't changed, so that made doing this top 8 honestly pretty difficult. So again, this is just my opinion. Before we start though, I want to say that most of you who are watching this video aren't even subscribed to the channel. So if you haven't already, I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button for more NBA content like this. Also, if you do enjoy this video, please remember to drop a like. It makes a big difference in helping this channel grow, and I would greatly appreciate it. So with that being said, let's get into it. Here are my predictions for the top 8 in the Western Conference for the 2022 season. Coming in at first, I have the Utah Jazz getting that top seed again. Last year, we saw everything about this team that makes them really good in the regular season. Donovan Mitchell is a stud, Rudy Gobert is a defensive anchor, and you have defensive guys on the wing who can also shoot at a high level. Also, the guys they have on the bench can do everything you need, so adding guys like Hassan Whiteside, Rudy Gay, and Eric Pascal should give a little bit more of a boost to an already deep team. People will say that the Jazz got lucky last year because there were so many injuries and COVID issues that the Jazz didn't have to deal with. But I don't like that argument honestly, because they played every game and they were winning and playing really well. You can't take that away from them. And yes, I understand the questions about their ceiling, especially in the playoffs, but in the regular season, this team is one of the best, so it's hard for me to not put them at the top of the West with the talent that they have right now. And when they're making every shot and making big defensive stops every game, it's fun to watch them. So yeah, I hope that people aren't sleeping on the Jazz again for the regular season. I got the defending Western Conference champion Phoenix Suns getting the number 2 again like last year. Honestly, there aren't many concerns when I look at this roster other than the fact that Chris Paul is 36, but even that isn't really something that I'm worried about because he's proven to still be very good. Not many changes in the offseason with this team other than extending Chris Paul and adding JaVale McGee, who I do like as DeAndre Ayton's backup. Speaking of Ayton though, why have they not given him the max extension yet? Like, was his great playing in the playoffs not enough for you? Because honestly, without some of the games that he was having, especially in those early rounds against the Lakers and Nuggets, the Suns wouldn't make the finals. And even in the finals, he was solid too, like 15 points, 12 rebounds. That's really good for a young big man like him. I honestly don't even know what they're waiting for, so just please give Ayton the max. He's proven that he's earned it. But yeah, besides that, there's no denying how good this Suns team is. They proved it last year, and I expect the same from them heading into the season. Third seed for me is the Lakers with all of the retirement home people. Let's be honest though, looking at all of the roster moves that they made in their overhaul, this team is not built for an 82-game regular season. They're built for the playoffs. This team is full of older guys who have a ton of experience. And I just don't think that these guys are going to be too focused on the regular season. I feel like for them, the goal is to just get a good enough seed so that they can have some home court and to have everyone healthy come April. And as long as they have that, then they can believe that they'll win the championship. Everyone knows that this team is going to have a rough start in this season. The first month, maybe even 2, could be a challenge trying to get all of these guys adjusted to their roles and playing with each other. And yes, I know it's preseason, but that game where LeBron, AD, and Westbrook played, yeesh. It's going to take some time for them to get a groove and actually look like the team that we expect them to look like. So all of these factors, on top of the fact that we're likely going to see them do a lot of load management, I think they'll be a top 3 seed. They're going to start slow, but turn it up in the second half and look amazing, and it'll be good enough to seed pretty well in the West. I'm so bummed that Jamal Murray isn't going to be back for a while because I would have this Nuggets team in the top 2 with him healthy. That's how good I think this team can be. Luckily, this team, even without Murray, is still pretty good, and they can still have a high seed in the West. Jokic is the reigning MVP who helped this team stay near the top of the West after the Murray injury because of his incredible talent and also the guys they have on this team. If Michael Porter Jr. can take the leap that everyone says he will, including myself, the Nuggets will be perfectly set for when Murray hopefully comes back later in the season. The depth is solid here with guys like Austin Rivers, Jeff Green, Campazzo, Monte Morris, JaMychal Green. I mean, what don't they have? If this team can get a good seed and Murray comes back and looks pretty good, then the playoffs will be very interesting. But for the regular season, this team is still in pretty good shape, and they will end up at 4 in the West in my book. 5th seed, give me the Warriors. I know that they disappointed last year and lost 2 play-in games, but this team got better in the offseason, so I think that's going to help them. They basically have a mix of vets like Otto Porter, and they brought back Iguodala. And then they have the young guys like Wiseman, Moody, Kuminga, and Jordan Poole. And Jordan Poole, by the way, looks like he's going to take a big leap this season, so watch out for that. Oh yeah, and did I mention that Klay Thompson is coming back? It probably won't be until around February, but Klay coming back, hopefully healthy, will elevate this team and their ceiling. Steph is going to continue to do all of the crazy things that we've seen him do. He was an MVP candidate and willed his team to the 8th seed last year. And now with more talent on his team and his #1 sidekick coming back, this team should significantly improve from last year. Man, I can't tell you how excited I am that Klay will hopefully be back. We haven't seen him since the 2019 finals against Toronto. And he's so fun to watch, and he's just so great. This team will be fun to watch all year. But when Klay comes back, they're going to be can't miss TV. I think the 5th seed is entirely possible for this team, so that's what I'm going with. This Clippers team is interesting. They're going to be without Kawhi Leonard for most of the regular season, if not all of it. And because we don't know for sure, it makes it pretty hard to kind of get an idea of where this Clippers team is going to end up. Paul George is going to be the #1 guy now, which he hasn't been since I think his Pacers days. So seeing what that looks like after a few years will be fascinating. I still believe he has the talent to take this team to the playoffs, and honestly, the team around him isn't that bad. Reggie Jackson and Terrence Mann showed their value in the playoffs, and they're going to be big help for Paul George. You also have guys like Batum, Ibaka, Luke Kennard, Marcus Morris, Eric Bledsoe. I mean, on paper, this is a decent roster. They have the scoring all around, and they're going to be pretty good defensively. We saw what they were able to do in the playoffs, getting to the conference finals for the first time ever, so they have the talent to be competitive. That's why I think that they just avoid the play-in and they get that 6th spot in the West. If Kawhi comes back earlier than expected and looks good, it changes their trajectory. But I have doubt he plays in the regular season, so the best spot that I can put them in is the 6th seed. Man, remember that 2-week period where we thought Damian Lillard was going to leave Portland? That was fun. And honestly, he needs to because he's not winning in Portland. But for now, he's still a Blazer, and this team went through some pretty interesting changes. Terry Stotts left, and they brought in Chauncey Billups. And then in terms of their roster, nothing really stands out to me. Larry Nance Jr. was a good addition for sure, and I'm glad that Dennis Smith Jr. still has an opportunity in this league, to be honest. But yeah, this roster really doesn't scream playoff lock to me. Lillard is going to have to carry the load like always, and that can only take them so far. I still think Lillard and McCollum are good enough to take them to the playoffs, but I think that they're going to have to go through the play-in in order to get there. Dame, I am begging you, run from the grind. Loyalty is great, but if you want to win a championship, you can't not be in Portland forever. I don't know where you go, but it's clear that you are unhappy with the organization and you really do want to win. So just stop the drama and get out. You deserve better. Rounding out the top 8, give me the Mavericks. Luka is special. We all know that. And he'll make this team relevant. But honestly, outside of a few pieces, this team isn't all that. We all saw how Porzingis looked in the playoffs, and honestly the whole season in general. He just wasn't good. And when you're supposed to be the #2 guy behind Luka, being that bad is inexcusable. He wouldn't use his size. He would always shoot threes when he would not be making them, and he wouldn't even be playing good defense. He has to be better for this team to be even remotely competitive. Boban is decent, and they got Moses Brown, so honestly the center position isn't that bad for them. Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Brunson, Maxi Kleber, like these aren't bad players, but I don't think they really elevate this team and their ceiling. The only thing that I can give them credit for is making that Clippers series competitive. But Luka had to put up crazy numbers for them to have any sort of chance. And it just feels like Luka, like Dame, is going to have to carry heavy for this team just to make the playoffs. And as great as Luka is, I just don't know how sustainable that will be. Having Luka alone makes this team somewhat competitive, and with the competition in the West, I think they end up as the 8th seed in the conference and they have to go through the play-in. I also forgot to mention how they got apparently Dom Toretto as their head coach. So yeah, good luck with that. Hopefully the strength of family can get you to the playoffs. Okay, so that is my top 8 in the Western Conference. Jazz, Suns, Lakers, Nuggets, Warriors, Clippers, Blazers, Mavericks. I think in the West, the fight for the play-in will be very interesting. I would say watch out for teams like Memphis and Minnesota who could make the play-in and make things very interesting at the end of the regular season. But yeah, the West is still the superior conference, and looking at these teams, it's very clear why. Alright, that's going to wrap up the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like. And also comment down below your thoughts on my West standings and how you see the West playing out this season. I'm curious to hear what you guys think, so be sure to let me know. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the channel for more NBA content like this, and so you don't miss an upload. Thank you guys as always for your continuous support, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.